Hey guys, welcome to a brand new episode of the Service Without Excuses podcast. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, or you can check out our website and different social media sites, and where, of course, our podcast is posted. Welcome. Glad to be with you here on a Friday afternoon in sunny West Palm Beach. Again, I'm very fortunate to be here right now, and I'm getting some work done and some vacation at the same time. So I got a chance to work out a little bit this morning. It's a little bit tougher because a lot of things are closed due to the pandemic, but very, very glad to be here. So again, this is Rob with the Service Without Excuses podcast and robmlyon.com. Our episode today is, when does overthinking something become dangerous? When does overthinking anything become dangerous? There's an old saying of paralysis by analysis. And in this fact, true, it does in effect someone's judgment and making decisions. The answer is absolutely it does. When you overthink something, especially without a strong strategy, and advance the thought of losing something, or worse, tends to take over and affect your rational decision thinking. That's very true. Is your podcast, and in this podcast, I should say, we'll be discussing the variables of both sides. So, overthinking something. We all do it in life. It's not even just business. It's not even a business related situation. It's not even something that you just go and say, hey, I'm going to overthink um, if I'm going to get caught speeding on the street. I'm going to overthink if I order something that I really can't afford. I'm going to overthink something about a variety of things in life that keep your fear in front of you instead of behind you. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have some fears in this world. Everybody has fears in this world. It's just a common everyday reaction to what we do and our life. However, when does it create paralysis in your thought thinking and in your thought pattern, in the way you make judgment and decisions? Well, it starts with personal before we get to business. And if you're in your life, you're thinking, I can't do something, I can't make this succeed, this is too hard, this seems like too much work. In the famous words, as I talked about in the other podcast of Henry Ford, if you think you can or you can't, you're right. And there's some strong words right there. If you've already made your mind up that you can't do it, if somebody in your family or around you says you can't do something, they have a serious impact on you. Sometimes, and many times, they're looking out for your best interests. They don't want to see you get hurt. They don't want to see something go awry. They don't want to see too many risks taken that can jeopardize the family. Understandable. And those are real decisions to make. Those are real things to make. However, you can't listen to a pessimistic ear that is always, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's a scam. It's not going to work. That's not going to allow you to grow. You have to have the strong enough will to give it everything you've got. We talked about before in one of the previous podcasts about 100% is not even barely enough. You should at least bring 100% to your whatever you're doing. With your service or your product should be at least 100%. That's what you should be striving for, nothing less, because you want as close to perfection as humanly possible. Sorry, I'm getting a few messages in here while we're doing this podcast, but um, you can't let fear, you can't let that dangerous and almost debilitating problem affect your entire life. You can't be afraid to get out in the car because you've had a car accident. The best thing you can do for yourself is, unfortunately, you were in a terrible situation and it's tragic and it's not good. And if you're here on this earth, you're here. You're not somewhere else. You're not in the hereafter. You're here for a reason. So you have to get out and move past it. You have to get out there. And it's easier said than done. So I understand that. But I want you to understand that fear of not allowing you to get out on the street again with a car, not to get out on a bicycle if somebody knocked you off the bicycle, is going to debilitate you for the rest of your life if you don't make a change of pattern. If you allow that to debilitate you and make your decisions, make your rational thought, then you're in for a world of, unfortunately, problems and trouble, because you're never going to get to your potential or even a balancing act in your life when those things happen. And they're terrible. We all have them. Everybody on this planet has it. Things have gone awry in our lives that make it very difficult to get up every single day and make those decisions to move past it and move on with your life. We all have had it. We've all gone through personal issues like divorce. We've gone through personal issues with loss of business. We've gone through personal issues with loss of family members and friends. Those are real, honest to goodness reasons for having some debilitation. However, the best thing you can do for that person or for yourself is to get up back on the horse again and move. And it's not easy. It is simple, but it's not easy. And it's understandable, but you have to get up and do it. There's no second guessing that you can't. You have to have the ability to do that. Our mission today is to understand the dangers of overthinking, but also not to be too impulsive in making major decisions. Now, ADD, there's no doubt about that. And I see something, I kind of want it now. I want it as quickly as possible because I see in my brain what value that can bring to myself and the people around me. So I am impulsive when it comes to that. However, there's a rational brain thought that goes, okay, Rob, you should get this, but you have 5 other things that you need to get through before you get this. Like I have a couple programs going on right now. One's from Pat Flynn about more podcasting and getting a bigger audience and things like that. And it's the top level Pat Flynn course called Amped Up Podcasting, and it's awesome. But I also have my subscriptions to Jay Abraham's Inner Circle stuff and a bunch of other stuff going on that, um, you know, how much content can you take? Well, I'm pretty good at multitasking, and many people are, but it becomes redundant. It becomes, how are you going to get this in and get this done in a timely manner? I don't care how good you are with time management, how good you are getting something done. It's going to come back to bite you. So overthinking something and the dangers of not doing something are substantial too as well. But the dangers of overthinking something and not making rational thought are also dangerous. So people go out and they go to a seminar or they go see a guy on TV or some guy selling a course online and go, wow, I've got to have that now. I'm one of those people, just so you know. However, the rational thought comes in and says, okay, you could use this, but you have so many other things to get through. And if you just keep buying courses, they end up on this filing system called a shelf, and they get this thing called Dusty. And all you end up doing is dusting them off. I know I've got probably well over $100,000 worth of marketing material just sitting in my library on my shelf behind me when I do my regular podcast. It's the education, and it's been a great education, but there are courses on there I've never even touched just because I know I can find value in those things. I know that I can really grow with those things. I know they will help me be better at what I do and be more of a peak performance person than I already am. However, do I need them right now? And that's, as time has gone on, I went, okay, maybe I don't. The Pat Flynn course I've been wanting for a year plus. It's not changed. But I didn't go with the, like, for instance, there was like 2 choices of a basic power up podcasting, I think it's called. It's a little bit less expensive, and the amped up podcasting, which is a bit more expensive. But the power up, I'm already through those things. I already have a bunch of subscribers. I already have a platform. I'm already on different sites. I have some distribution, a substantial amount of distribution now. So from scratch, half of that course was not needed. And talking to Pat Flynn's staff, not Pat himself, they suggested that it probably would be a moot point to go and invest that. Well, I'm glad I didn't buy the first program and then the second one. Not that I couldn't have gotten some great value out of the first one, but I've already done a lot of the hard work and the labor and the heavy lifting, as they call it, to get that in the first place. Realize, if you take time to plan a strategy, and every single one of these podcasts are going to be about strategy, every single one is going to be about um, strategic thinking, because I don't know how to not talk about strategic thinking. It's focused my entire life. It's focus being the key word. If you have a strategy behind something, you can do it. And you can always change your strategy. You can always balance your strategy. You can rectify and update your strategy. But the one thing you need to do is have that strategy in place. So for me, I knew that this was part of my strategy, and I didn't have to overthink it or make those rough decisions when it came to that. So you have to think about your life and where you're at right now. Take a little mental thought. You can close your eyes, take a deep breath, and think to yourself, where am I at right now on this day, January 22nd, 2021, or whenever you're actually listening to this podcast? But for accounting purposes, today is Friday, January 22nd, 2021. We've gone through a really tough time in history. We've gone through a major pandemic. We've gone through a lot of problems. We've had a lot of loss. We've had a lot of change. But make sure, no matter what, with all of those things, when you plan your strategy on however you want to do something, however you want to purchase something, execute on something, take action on something, that last year is not ruling a factor into that. Unless your financials have been stripped and it's much tougher right now, work with what you got. Don't go and invest a course because you think it's a magic bullet. It's not. You're the magic bullet. That's just going to help get you there. But if you don't have the mindset in the first place to get you where you want to be, to take actions on your thoughts, your dreams, and the reality of your world, then none of it's going to mean anything because your mindset is not there in order to take those actions toward your success. You are the magic bullet. It's not the programs. If you don't take action on them because your mind is not together, then you will never succeed with any program, any coaching program, any mentoring program, any program you buy online, any self-help stuff. Hell, advice from your friends that might be great are still not going to be received correctly if you don't have the mindset. If your mind and your thought process and your strategy for your life is not intact, it's not going to matter. Not going to make any difference. Our purpose here today is to gain clarity, both sides, and how to make important strategy rationally and with strategy. Again, we're just talking about that right now. You can't make a difference if you're not together upstairs. I'm committed that even though I'm working here in West Palm Beach when it's absolutely beautiful outside in January, and yes, I did go out and exercise this morning, and I hit the jacuzzi in the pool a little bit this morning, and it was awesome. But I committed to myself that I had to get up by a certain time, get over there, do what I had to do, listen to some of Pat Flynn's course on my headphones while I'm working out. Go to the pool and even in the jacuzzi, I'm listening to Pat Flynn's course because I can't waste the time it's there. I know that I only have so many hours to get something accomplished. That is having good time management skills. And those are essential to your life, not just to business, but to your life. You know, you have to get X amount done. Like after this, I know myself, we're redoing our website completely from bottom up. And I have to get all the content that's going to go on the website written and sent over to my web host, which is Rob Hampton, my friend, and will be my soon co-host on a new podcast we're developing right now. We're getting ready to produce. But if I don't plan that time and those actions that have to be done, then nothing's going to happen. And in that case, if I don't accomplish it, then I start overthinking. Maybe it's not meant to be. Maybe I can just get it done when I go home. Maybe I just need to let it slide. I'm on vacation. You don't need to work every day. You got a business going on back at home. Why do you need this? Because it's me. And everybody has their different why, so to speak. Everybody has a different reason why they get up every single day and do something. So I would say the biggest danger of overthinking is not taking action. And the second biggest is taking action and not being well thought out, not planning a strategy, not planning a way to grow your business, grow yourself personally. This old saying, I just thought about it now. If mama isn't happy, nobody's happy. We've probably all heard this. Well, it applies to you, man. You can be mama. Doesn't mean you can't be. There's plenty of both male and men and women that listen to this podcast. So to women, that applies very easily because if mama isn't happy, nobody's happy. That means if the mama or the wife is not happy, then the kids and the husband probably won't be happy. Well, here, guess what? That applies to this. If you're not happy yourself, you're going to overthink things or underthink things but you're generally going to overthink things because that's what's going to limit your belief of where you can be. It's going to limit the strategy and ability for you to get where you want to be. It's going to limit the abilities you have to take action on what you have to done. It's going to limit the ability for you to get things done in an organized manner and to implement the strategy that you want to have done for your life. Strategy is not just business. Strategy is life. People say their goals, their dreams. Well, their dreams if you don't do anything. Their goals if you don't do anything. And if you don't plan a strategy to execute your goals, guess what they'll be? Goals. And goals, many people set goals at the beginning of the year. Say, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to work my ass off and get there and run and exercise and do all the weights and work with a trainer. And I'm going to diet. And I'm going to do all this shit. And we all know 99% of it never happens. The 1% do it. Well, only the 1% take action on everything else too. So if you don't take action on your goals for your new year, I don't think you need to wait till New Year to take goals. I don't think you need to wait till 2022 to say, I am now going to start my own podcast. I am now going to start marketing my business better. I'm now going to have more of a social media presence. I'm now going to go out and invest in some new equipment. I'm going to invest in new education. You don't have to wait to do that. If there's a strategy behind it because things are holding you back right now financially, that's fine. But at least put the strategy in place to get running. I knew as of this year, as of the beginning of January, obviously I was doing some podcasts back in December, but I knew as of January I had to get back into this because I was gun ho into doing these podcasts and I loved it and had great feedback. And then I got busy doing something else. Well, guess whose fault that is? Guess whose problem that is? That's mine. And the amount of people that I could have given advice to and probably gotten advice from is astronomical if I would have just kept going. On top of which, I get to think top of mind and then listen to these recordings and go, wow, you idiot. You didn't even know you knew that because in your subconscious of what you're thinking. So it's very important not to let fear and frustration and overthinking run your life. You're not going to have a happy life no matter what. Forget the happy wife, happy life. You're not going to have it if you can't get those mental blocks out of your head saying, I can't do something, or being too impulsive and doing something out of the cuff. One of the benefits people do is if they invest in a course or class or coach or whatever it is, and we've had it with our business, people will go and they're all gun ho ready to go, and we start putting plans of action together. And about 2 months into it, we're hitting them pretty hard. I mean, we give them a lot of stuff to work on, and there's a lot of accountability. And we don't want people in the program that aren't accountable. But they start getting this burn, and they go, "Oh, I can't do this. It's too much." Why? You were overthinking something to begin with, and saying, "I need to take action onto it." And now you're overthinking quitting. You're overthinking giving up. Just like this podcast, if I had given up, I would have had probably a dozen, maybe 13, 14 episodes packed with content, nice subscriber list. People seem to really like it and get a lot out of it, and I'm very grateful for that. But if I would have stopped, that would be it. And if I had kept on going, I had just made new and noteworthy when I stopped, which is a nice distinction from iTunes. I mean, stupid on my part. I planned the strategy to get the podcast together. I invested in the equipment. I bought a great mixing board that does both digital mixing, has a bunch of stuff. I can import everything. I can literally run the whole podcast from this board that's sitting right over here. You can see it if you're watching the YouTube video. It's an amazing piece, the Zoom Live Track L8. You can use it for anything. And being a musician, I certainly understand how to use it with EQs and being a digital board and how I can import things into it. However, I spent the money and the time, wrote all the content on here, hours and hours, hundreds of hours worth of content and blogs and things in here. Not to write the blogs because I can take a blog from this and have it transcribed, and that's a blog. Very simple to do. But I spend the time doing the homework, which takes the bulk of the time planning these podcasts and planning sessions and planning coaching agreements with our clients and planning our cleaning business back in New Jersey. You know, all of these things I run, by the way, all of these things from this iPad. technically. I mean, I have my MacBook Pro right here, and I have a whole bunch of different stuff that digitally gets it done, and then I have everything sent over to somebody to master it, and and mix it and edit whatever has to be done. I outsource that because I don't have time to do it. Not that I can't do it. I've done it being a musician. I've learned how to mix things in the studio and use Pro Tools and things of that nature. However, I have thought out what I needed to do, and even I, with all that energy and drive and motivation and love for doing it, stopped doing it because I overthought it. And I went, okay, I've got to concentrate on something else right now. This is not something that necessarily is improving my bottom line because it wasn't making me one nickel. And I didn't really care. I didn't do it to make one nickel. I did it to get the information out there. Hopefully there's some things that help somebody. And then that same process, they will come back and either work with our company, refer other people to us, whatever that happens to be. You know, I believe in the law of reciprocity. If you've given and given and given, people will come back to you, and they do. But I realized that without giving the information that I've learned over 30 years, nobody's for the better, including myself, most namely myself. Because if I can't help somebody, then that's one less person that can maybe help somebody get out of the ditch and start really living their life they need the way they need to do it. We all have struggles in life. We all have thoughts and things that really prevent us from being who we want to be. Overthinking should not be one of them. Fear, some point, procrastination should not be one of them. I didn't procrastinate on the podcast. I just stopped. Procrastinating means I'll just do another one here and there. I just stopped because the overthinking of it and realizing I couldn't delegate enough time to do it meant I was now making an excuse, which is something I don't do, but I did. And I'm human, and we all make those mistakes. So the point of this podcast today, guys, is really don't let your fears drive your passions. Don't let your fears drive your future. Don't let your fears overtake where you want to get and taking action and implementing that strategy that you spent so much time planning in order to make something succeed. Again, this is Rob from robmlyon.com. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast, whether on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher. There's a whole bunch of them. You can go down the list. Spotify, which I really love. You can get some information on here that helps somebody, and maybe we'll dig them out of that hole of overthinking something and going, maybe something in this podcast and this recording will make them take action, will make them execute on strategy, will give them the strength and the power to stop overthinking something, and with clear, rational, strategic thought, go where they need to go. Thanks so much, guys, for a brand new episode of Service Without Excuses, episode number 8. We talk about really simple. Don't overthink something. Have a great day, guys.